All right, Alec, what's up?
Well, it's going good. I've got some time. It's late at night, but I got a little bit of
I
time.
can give
We
you
can
12 minutes
yeah,
tops.
about 12 minutes. Yeah. That's about yeah. That's all we need to talk about this game. But I don't know. It'll probably be longer than that, to be
Yeah,
honest. We can
so
get long-winded about stuff.
if you don't know what 12 minutes is, it's a nice little game exclusively on Xbox, the Xbox systems, right?
Xbox and
And
PC. Yeah.
PC.
Yeah,
And
because
it's, yeah.
I played it on PC. I was going to play it on my Xbox One X, which I got as a replacement. So it's a refurbished replacement for a refurbished Xbox that I bought at GameStop, and this one doesn't work now. This
Nice.
one's just as bad, if not worse, than the last one. So cool.
I did play
So
it
I
on
couldn't I
Xbox
couldn't play it
One.
on there. So I played it on PC. I honestly, compared to I did kind of start to play it, and that's when like the Xbox just died pretty much. It was just like, nope, I can't do this, and then it is now stuck in a forever boot up error. But
Hmm.
I will say the PC controls way better than the console version. Way better.
Yeah.
It was designed for PC.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Um,
But yeah, it's like an interactive. Oh, it's top-down interactive. What do they call it? Like a psychological?
it's like a psychological thriller, I guess. I mean, a lot of the marketing, the movie poster really kind of evoked like Rear Window and others like uh, so it felt very Hitchcockian kind of. There was another influence in like the movie posters, but I'm trying to remember what exactly.
Hmm.
There's like almost like a film. The marketing almost made it feel a little bit more film noir than psychological thriller, which this is, I would say, more of. Um, if not like, I don't know if I would go so far as to call it avant-garde, but it was definitely it's artsy. It's an artsy fartsy sort of game, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, it's not something you can
Um,
pop in and like have a podcast going at the same time. It's not one of
yeah,
those.
yeah,
You have to just you have to be in you have to be in the experience.
in the zone,
Yeah.
in the gameplay, playing the game, so to
So
say.
I mean, this really takes you on a wild down some wild roads in this that I did not expect to go down.
Yeah. So just generally speaking, before we get into spoilers, it's basically a top-down adventure, point and click adventure game.
Mhm.
You're limited to you're surprisingly limited with the. I mean, you can see this from all the marketing. You're basically in one room or one apartment throughout the entire game, and you're basically all you have at your disposal are the elements that you can interact with in the apartment. Um, but I guess the enjoyment of the gameplay sort of comes from figuring out what to use, what to combine, how to use it at different periods of time throughout the 12 minutes because you're in a time loop
Mm.
that's repeating the same 12 minutes. So yeah, it's an interesting game that definitely rewards experimentation, encourages experimentation, to sort of figure out what's going on and progressing further into the story. It's very very dialogue and story driven as well.
Yeah.
Um, More so than I was anticipating, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what I think I did expect a story thing. I almost expected it to like play itself out more than it did. Just kind of stuff would happen. I thought it was one of those things, but I didn't
Mm,
expect you have to actually you're actively trying to basically solve the puzzle that you're going through.
mm,
But and there is like there's a certain branchingness to it as well, and there are multiple like endings you don't necessarily get if you don't do certain things a certain way.
mm.
Like I got like one of the true endings, I guess, but then I went back and looked online to try to get an idea of some of the other endings at least. Because
Yeah,
once I beat it, I couldn't go back. I thought that was
right,
I didn't
right.
expect that. I thought I might be able to go back and play things out.
Yeah, there are some endings I think that allow you to that allow you to like reset or whatever, or that don't require a full reset of the like timeline or whatever you want to call it, or full reset of the game.
And I guess some
But
are
like,
referred to as endings, but they're not really
yeah,
endings. Like
yeah,
I forget the name of one where it was like it ended up just looping me back again, but it was technically an
yeah,
ending.
yeah,
So we had a couple of them, but there were still like a
yeah,
ton of achievements from the ones I didn't get. So I had to
yeah.
go and at least brush up on it. But
Yeah, I might go back and try to get some of them just because it's like because I played it, I basically know what to do now, so it should be easy enough to just kind of get everything done.
so how did you feel about it? Were you all on board with?
So let's go into spoilers.
Well, what about general thoughts?
Oh,
General
thoughts. I will say probably 75% through this game. I think I was in love with this game. After that period of time, it started to sour on me a little bit just because what you had to do to progress became more and more frustrating. Yeah. I like adventure games. I get that there's oftentimes like a lot of trial and error involved in some of the puzzles. What I didn't really care for as much with this is because you had to go through the loops and you had to go like through the like full like 8 to 9 minutes in a loop to like progress far enough, and it was just like it got tedious after a while.
And the developers will probably say to you, they'd probably be like, well, that's how you're supposed to feel. You're stuck in a time loop. It is.
No, it is straight up. They said that was in playtesting. That was one of the things one of the negative. They got mixed feedback overall. And they said that one of the major complaints was that they got frustrated. But they honestly, well, I'm going to say this. Kudos to them for sticking to their guns, because they believed so much in their vision for what they wanted the game to be that they did that. They didn't really make any shortcuts. They're like, no, you need to just get down and figure it out. Yeah, well, so I can kind of appreciate that in a certain way. As far as
conceptually, I'm totally on board with that. But to me, the frustration in the loops came from things like you have to be done in such a particular way, where I'm like, it kind of took me out of the story element, because I'm like, well, yeah, I'm kind of doing it a right way. Like I could do this, and it should work. But then like the character will do a certain thing in a certain way. I'm like, oh well, okay, they don't want me to do this. Okay.
Yeah, it was like, oh, I didn't get this certain one tiny snippet of dialogue where I thought I had exhausted all the dialogue options, and now I have to go through the whole rigmarole again just so I can. Yeah. So because I will say there were times I actually looked a couple of things up because I was just getting kind of like. I was
trying my hardest not to do that, and I ended up doing it once later down the line.
Yeah.
But what it ended up being was like a detail that I just forgot from like an old loop, because I hadn't even like thought to look at it in so long. I'm like, oh, that's what it was. Okay. But.
Yeah, there was something like that for me. There was another one where I looked something up, and it was like, oh, that was. Well, basically what I wanted to do was like, I wanted to be like, all right, I think I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't want to waste any more time. So I like looked it up, and I was like, okay, exactly what I was going to do in this next loop is what I need to do. So cool.
Yeah. So overall, like I like the idea of it a lot. I do think just a little bit of the execution is not quite where I want it to be, and it did. The frustration part of it didn't come from like, oh man, I'm stuck in a time loop. It was more of like the gameplay aspects within that. So
yeah,
I feel like that could have been refined more, but I do really like what they went for.
Well, like I said, I feel like I had a lot more positive feelings about the game, like maybe 2/3 of the way through than I did like after I finished it.
And when you're first finding things out, it's a lot more interesting, you know.
It is for sure.
In terms of like, okay, now I've known all this stuff for so long, but it's like, what order of operations do I do this in? Like, when do I tell my wife this? And like,
yeah, you know. Yeah, I think that element of discovery, I think, is kind of what. I think that's sort of why I was liking it so much, was because when you start getting further along, there's less and less like. I guess there's less breadth to the discovery that you can have, so that it kind of sours it, that you're just looking for one little specific thing to progress to, basically to unlock the next section of the game in a way. So it's like, yeah, I think I would agree with that. That's kind of or the best way to. I think that's the best way to describe it.
I'd say it's definitely worth trying out, but it's definitely not going to be for everybody.
I would say this is not a 20. I would not pay $25 for this game. This is a Game Pass game. I had Game Pass. I actually completely forgot that I had Game Pass. So I've been paying for Game Pass for like I don't know 6 months or something. But hey, yeah, Game Pass I think is absolutely worth it.
That is a bit much for this game, I guess. I feel like if the gameplay is too frustrating, you probably wouldn't lose too much from just watching a playthrough online. I feel like this game might lend itself to that because it's not at the end of the day. It's not too personalized, unlike other branching stories. Because it's kind of like you're eventually got to go. There's a certain set things you need to do, so it's not too much like you're making personal choices and stuff like that. But yeah, so let's get into some spoilers, right?
Yeah, let's get into some spoilers.
I will say that I did not expect. This isn't really spoilers, but I did not expect like pretty much every little thing to come into play. I thought,
me neither.
Like especially in the beginning, I was like, okay, so a lot of this stuff is probably misdirects. Like, so
yes,
like you could end up doing this, but eventually, almost every aspect of the apartment is used in some way.
I thought there were misdirects too. I thought there was some stuff with like, I was just like, whatever. That's just. I think
there still is, unless I'm missing other stuff, like the ventilation stuff.
The ventilation stuff is supposed to give you sort of a hint that there are more vents. There's vents in every room,
but that is like
so you can't see the vent,
though, right? Because like you don't really have a reason to put stuff in the
other two. I think it's more to cement the idea in your mind that there are vents in the house, so that you know that when you get to the bathroom vent, you can open it and get something out of it, which is the pocket watch.
But other than that, most of the other things do come into effect, which I didn't really expect. But they do utilize most of the stuff.
Yeah.
What a wild trip.
I thought it was so. Yeah, it ended up being so bizarre. Like towards the end, I guess it's like
so bizarre so quickly.
Yeah,
like I was like, okay, this is just a story playing out of like a wife potentially murdering, like being a murderer.
Yeah.
And like the husband coming to cope with that and stuff with that. But then it's like, oh, what incest? He's the murderer. What's happening?
What? Yeah, I know that when it was like when he was like, oh, it's something flowery, something like daisy, something I don't remember, and then he just then you start the loop over again. I was like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I was like,
I completely forgot. Totally that was the whole detail I forgot because I looked at the baby thing before, and it did have the name on it, but I completely forgot that detail. I'm like, am I supposed to do something with this flower? This flower in the bedroom is that what I'm supposed to do with?
I think that's tied to an achievement, or tied to a couple achievements actually.
I think so too. I tried to do it just based off of reading the achievement, and I couldn't get anything to happen. I don't know what I was doing. I felt stupid a lot in this game, but it's like, oh, I forgot about the whole baby thing because you don't really touch it after like the first couple loops, or at least I didn't for so long that I forgot about it.
All right.
But it's like, oh, you have to bring it out, and then you have to show it to the cop guy.
To cop when he brings the nanny up.
Yeah.
Like you have to wait till he brings the nanny, and then you're like,
it's like, oh, wait, oh. So the nanny.
So yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, I knew when I saw Dahlia, I was like, oh no. I was like, I got like this sinking feeling. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a bizarre twist, huh? Like,
bizarre.
I was like, what's going on? And apparently he'd forgotten about it. Like, and that was sort of the thing. So the reason for that, is I think explored in the secret ending, or I guess the full ending, which is the true ending of the game. So, so the basic premise of the game is. Cop is trying to arrest your wife for committing a murder / kill both of you and steal a pocket watch that can save his daughter.
Dude was pissing me off.
Who has cancer. All of these people, all the acting, by the way, voice performances in this game are awesome. It's amazing. I actually didn't even recognize that. Doesn't sound anything like James McAvoy or Daisy
I
Ridley
know, yeah.
to me.
Even though I
I
knew they were in there
yeah.
going into it, but it was like, yeah, these voices sound very different.
Yeah, I heard Daisy Ridley's British come out during one of her lines, during like a couple of her lines when she was kind of in like a panicked state,
Hmm.
but that was about it. The I mean, and Willem Dafoe. I mean, what a master. You know,
Hmm.
he's into these weird sort of projects like this, so it was exciting to have him there. His voice is just this is perfect, and it was great. So yeah, he's like trying to steal this watch. Through all these different loops, you learn all this different information about the fact that your wife was a murderer. And then you find out, well, maybe she didn't murder him because there were two gunshots. And then you find out more details about like her whole past. And
Which was such a
then
weird like, but the setup to the story was so weird where they were going back and it was like, I shot him once, or like the cop was saying she shot him once on Christmas Eve and then
yeah,
came back to finish the job on New Year's Eve.
right.
I'm like, that seems so bizarre for someone to do that.
Because I think it was probably because like he was in the hospital, and then when he got brought out, then she came back and did it again and shot him again.
Um,
Yeah,
but then the fact it's like she thought she killed him, but she
yeah.
didn't really kill him. Like, how did I don't know how all that really transpires, but because like how do you shoot someone? You shoot your own father and you don't know that
Yeah.
he's alive for like a
Well,
whole
because
week
it
after.
seems like it seemed, I don't know, I guess she just ran. The thing to me is that like she just assumed it, but the strange thing, so summing up, all three of these characters are terrible people. They're all terrible people. Your husband, you drug your wife, you allow your wife to die, different loops, all you do some horrible stuff. You torture a guy. Meanwhile, the wife murders her father and steals a pocket watch, which is not typically, if it's your first murder, you typically
She wasn't
just
thinking; she just took
psychologically,
it.
just yeah, but just psychologically, for the most part, you don't think I'm going to take this trinket
Especially
from the murder
if it
scene.
wasn't intentional. Yeah. If
Yeah, that seemed very like so. Okay, so she is doing that, and then she's been lying about it all this time, and then cop guy is just like making up all these excuses to justify murdering two
murdering,
people,
he killed me so
and
many times. He's like, ah, I
and
warned you. Like, come
and then
on.
the and then the father. So then the father is had slept around with the nanny, and had the main character, you, is a little bastard child, and you're a horrible person because then you decided to, I'm gonna seduce and have sex with my sister,
Yeah, don't
apparently.
show him. I don't. uh,
So so the secret end, or I guess the true ending, seems to indicate the fact. So once you've gotten through enough information, and once it comes to light that you're her half brother, you enter like this new room for the first time, and it's like kind of this weird wild thing where it's like you're being confronted by your shared father, who's
yeah.
basically the cop, and he's being like, hey, you need to not be doing that, yo. You need to not be sleeping around with your sister. That's messed up. So the like true ending seems to be, you look at the book of meditations in one
Yeah.
of the,
This was weird. Yeah.
so which seems to indicate that this entire apartment scenario, this 12 minutes, is all in the mind of, it's all like an imagined meditative, like almost hypnotic in a way, sort of scenario that the protagonist is having about like, should he continue further in the relationship. And so
It's
then that means that the cop is some sort of like weird psychosexual representation of it's a cop wanting to do something to save his daughter, which is his dad, and the woman's dad, trying to put a wedge between your relationship by separating you by killing her, killing you, doing anything he can to separate you. So it's this weird like psychosexual sort of thing. So like it's not really real, which
So is that what it is? Is that like
I think that seems to be what the indication is, which is weird. That's very bizarrely high, like a weird high concept sort of like
if that's what they're going
idea for a game. Or you can just take it at face value and that. But I don't think you can really take it at face value because that's like the true ending of the game. So
But the end,
because like the ending, so the ending I ended up getting, by the way, was when you go back to it's really you're going back in time pretty much to I don't even know exactly when. It's sort of indeterminate. It's before the father dies anyway, and he's like, "Hey, you need to not be doing that, man." So I did yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. The alone ending is the one I got because I was like, yes, this is messed up.
Yeah, I agree with you, dog. But
yeah, I agree.
What happens when you say the other one? Do you know? I don't remember if I saw
Blissful Ignorance. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I didn't look into exactly what happens, but that's the name of the ending. Which I guess is you just succumb to your. My guess is that you kill a father, and then you just play out that scenario plays out itself out. I guess. It legitimately played itself out.
Because I watched a video, I didn't have time because I looked at it. I was like, oh, let me see all the endings real quick that I missed.
Okay.
But then it was like 45-minute video. I was like, okay, I don't have time for that. So I watched a 9-minute one, which has like sprinkles of like what you need to do to get in them.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the full, didn't see it fully play out. But I remember seeing like a screenshot of them, of the husband and wife laying together.
So that is,
I don't think I ever got that one.
If you have all the information from the cop that you can possibly get from him when you're torturing him, you can call the daughter at the very, very beginning of the day and tell her, hey, your dad's going to like come in and try to murder us to pay for your cancer treatments. And if you use that option and don't do anything else for the rest of the day, he will just straight up like take the phone call. She'll basically, because I actually had this happen, but unfortunately I was also letting other stuff happen at the same time. Like I told my wife, hey, you murdered your father and I know about it because I'm in a time loop.
That's the problem because I did do the first option, but then I didn't get the resolution here.
So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to call, give the option of, hey, your dad's doing this stuff to pay for your cancer treatments. She will call him, the dialogue will be different, and she'll be like, he'll say something, yeah, of course, I'll do anything for you. And you get the idea that on the phone, she's like, if you'll do anything for me, then I don't want you to hurt people to pay for it. And then he's like, okay, I won't. And then he turns around and he goes back down the elevator. And then your wife invites you to bed. And then you just lie there for the rest of the cycle, and then it loops again.
There were so many things where I was just a little bit off. It was like, I ended up doing other stuff like that day. That's what threw it off. Because I remember hearing him do the phone call and everything, but then I saw the whole thing with the wife. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's not going anywhere. It seemed like, but and then like the fact I couldn't go back and do these things without starting over is kind of a bummer. But yeah, that's interesting. So the blissful ignorance is literally you live it out.
I guess. I'm not totally sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really see the ending, but I would assume from the name, it means that you put yourself in a trance to forget the fact that you're her half brother, which means you just live your life out, which is like, ooh, that's a creepy ending.
But they're in love. It's so weird that how they get you in there with like doing stupid cute stuff in the beginning. Yeah. Like, I made dessert. Come over here. I was like, oh, I'm pregnant. I also hate how he takes it always bothered me how he took the box and he just kind of quietly puts it under the table with no reaction.
It's a onesie with my mother's name.
So isn't that I wouldn't like that if someone did that. Like they already got the name
I wouldn't either.
On there.
I think that'd be weird. Yeah. I'd be like, no.
And what if it's a boy? It's like
and she's just like whatever.
He can wear.
You just have a random. You just have a random name on it, you know?
You didn't think this through, sister.
I
I didn't mean to say sister in that way.
Yeah, I
but
know. That's so one thing I also was kind of amusing, which is just the nature of games like this. But I remember there was one time where James McAvoy was having this impassioned, like you can't, like, it was just like amazing, like, wow, that's an actor's take. And then to like click on the wife, and then he just gives like a canned babe.
Dude,
Babe?
I did the thing.
Or a canned sir.
Sir, I click in that over, sir.
Yeah, sir.
I'm like, okay,
Sir?
I guess I can't do anything this loop. All right, it's over. He's in the sir trance.
Which is great because he's like, please don't kill my wife, sir.
So weird. And there's some sloppy stuff
funny
with how the dialogue plays out. Like I was saying in the beginning, where she'll just keep talking like nothing's happening. Even if the cop is like, "Open up! I know you hear me," and then she's like, still like, "Oh, I can't believe this."
Yeah, it's
just playing itself out. And then she's like in the middle of the speech, and he's like he banged down the whole door, and he's like, and she's like, "Huh, me?" I love that line too.
So I will say I didn't expect the game to take all of those twists and turns and turn into what it
Certainly
became.
I thought it was just a modest little story.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be just kind of a modest.
Plays out, and then there was like the murder thing, but he was still on her side. There's got to be an explanation for it.
But I think, given the fact that I guess maybe there's small hints that there's something more nefarious at play, with the fact that the game lets you do just like horrible things to your wife and to the cop. That's actually, from what I've understood from some reviews and stuff that I've read, has actually been kind of controversial. Some people were actually like really like, I don't recommend going to read this because it just kind of made me angry. Because I read the Kotaku review and then I went down in the comments because I was like, surely this person's take is not shared by anyone. And no, everyone in the comments was like, thank you for spoiling this game. This game's a vile piece of encouraging violence against women. It is this horrible, evil, wicked piece of media. And I was like, well, okay, first of all, it's clear you didn't play it or watch anyone play it. Second of all, yes, you are not a good person in this game. And that's one of the ways that the game is communicating that to you, but because the fact that you drug your wife, you have to do that at least once in order to get more information.
Drug your wife is part of the
classic sleeping pills in the water.
It just became such a routine. It's like, okay,
I did it. I did it a lot. I did it because I thought it was like, I need more information out of the cop. I kept thinking that. I need more information out of him.
But so many of the loops, I was like, this could be resolved, right? If you just like, if we tell her, instead of drugging her, tell her, let's go into the bedroom and he'll hit the light switch and knock himself out. Like, you don't have to be drugged for this whole thing to play out, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, no, this only works if you drug her. And
then, or it's like, hey, maybe put shoes on, and then when you hit the light switch, you won't die. Which did you have that happen?
To have me die? Yeah. Well,
no, not you die, her die.
From
turning the light switch on.
I don't think I ever had that one actually play out.
I did. It was actually just a complete accident.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you know, as you're progressing through the game, that if you flick the light switch on once, or if she does it once, that does the electrocute thing. So then, when either she turns it off, when she goes to bed, or if you turn it off, and then, you know, as someone turns it back on, it electrocutes them. So that's how you get the cop to go unconscious. That actually knocks you out for several minutes when it happens to you.
Yeah.
But with her, if you go in before she sneaks into the room to get the birthday present or the onesie, if you go in and you flip the light switch and then turn it off, when she goes in there, she flicks it on, and then it kills her.
Unfortunately.
So, yeah. That happened to me, and I was like, oh no! I was like, this is horrible.
So this is part of where I was getting annoyed, is when I would go into the closet and have things play out just a little bit wrong, but I was like, this should work logically.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the closet. The wife doesn't know I'm there. I forget exactly what played out before it. But the wife didn't know I was there, but I had already primed the bedroom because it was like, surely he'll go and check the bedroom first before he'll check the closet, so I can have this play out to where the wife is still alive and and cuffed up, and the guy dies. But he every time, just in this specific circumstance, he'll come and he'll think to check the closet before going into the bedroom and turn the light on, which is what I thought logically you would go and check the bedroom, and I'll be safe in the closet, and then it'll be a different.
Oh, that's so weird because isn't in that loop? Isn't he supposed to check? Isn't she supposed to give him the information? Like, oh, it's because if she doesn't know you're there, she divulges the information. But if she knows you're there,
she doesn't know.
Right?
She knows I'm in the area, but she's in the apartment somewhere. But I was like, I thought it was like, because I didn't look into how it was supposed to play out, so I was like, oh, maybe. Oh,
I get what you mean. Okay.
Maybe if I'm in the closet,
she knows you're there, but doesn't
like
know if you're in the closet. Yeah.
He didn't know where I was. All the lights were off. So it was like, you're not going to look at the closet first. You're going to go in the bedroom, turn the light on, and then he'll get knocked out, and then we'll both be awake for this experience.
Yeah, but that's
no,
not
he goes and looks right over the closet.
He always goes in the closet,
cool. Yeah. But I did not expect all the shenanigans you have to do with the phone either. It was like, I didn't realize at first. There was like
that was actually one of my favorite things to discover. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, that's how you do that. That's great.
You get the phone numbers and stuff. Bumblebee coming into play. So it was interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of the backlash or controversy about this game probably could have been subverted with maybe some sort of content warnings other than just the M rating.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I feel like maybe some of it could be. I don't think you wouldn't be like, hey, incest is in this game, because that that's like the main twist of the at the end of the game, right? So you can't say that. Yeah. I don't know why that would be a trigger warning for people, but like I guess the repeated violence and assault that happens could be like triggering for some people, like. Yeah, so maybe some sort of warning would have, might have been appreciated for at least those people. But like, to me, you do terrible things in video games all the time to people, to women. If you're played a Grand Theft Auto game, I mean, so it's like, I can see where they're coming from, and I can appreciate that. And the game probably should have had some sort of a warning. But I think a lot of the. It just is such a weird review. It just came to me like it was like, let's cancel this game for having content that I don't like. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, well, it's like, that was one of the things in the early parts of the game to where, like, it's the Groundhog Day feeling. So you're just trial and erroring so much stuff. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right, but let me drag the knife over to my wife, see how this goes, and he just stabs the shit out of her. I'm like, what the hell?
Oh, really?
Well,
see, I never did that. Does he really?
Well, I think early on he's like, once I go into murder, I can never go back. But I think maybe once you realize she might be a murderer, or maybe once you just do it again. But then he's like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, because I think
damn, this isn't a Groundhog Day situation I would go through. It's like when I'm playing through like the same day over and over again, it's like, oh well, I've done everything, let me just start killing my family, and that'll be fun. That'll be something I haven't tried yet. But I guess the idea is that you're just accepting she's a murderer. But
with that one, I think it is if you try it again, because I did it once where I tried to kill myself.
Oh yeah,
and he's just like, nope.
And then
he won't do it. But if you do it again, he'll do it.
Yeah.
So
that was pretty wild too.
I did.
Like, oh fuck.
I like when he zaps back in. That's always like some of the best. Like
it was starting to get annoying to me when I kept dying too many times though. And he's like, "Fuck you!" And that goofy voice when the cop like kept killing him and whatnot. He's like, "Oh fuck you!" But sir. That's why I'm like, why can I not speak to the cop in this loop? Why do I have to sir right now? Come on, speak.
Sir?
Nothing's stopping you from speaking here.
Yeah. So I think I definitely think this game I give it a shot. Like I mean, we've already spoiled it now, but um, skip ahead to this part. If you have skipped ahead to this part, I don't know if we'll put annotations or whatever in. I don't know if you can even do that, but I feel like you should be able to. This game is honestly worth giving a shot. I like if you have Game Pass, why not? If you don't like it, then you just delete it. But it's not that terribly long of a game. I played 6 hours, probably 5-6 hours. It's about what I got out of it.
Unfortunately, it became more frustrating, but
yeah.
And it was annoying after the fact once it played out, and I was like, and I looked at how you could do different things. I was like, man, I was so close to just getting these endings if I just did things slightly different.
Yeah.
Like there's one ending you get for just doing nothing at all the whole day. You just go in and you just let things play out, and that's an ending.
I think that's it. Yeah, once you find out everything, I think an ending is if you just don't do anything at all.
Well, they said apparently if you just start the game and you don't just let it be and you just let things play out, and then that gives you an achievement. Technically it was an ending.
Oh, okay, cool. I think there's another one that's that actually has you like work with a cop to like arrest your wife or something.
Yeah,
I think there's one that's like that.
One is one I was close to as well, but it's like you have to specifically take only one set of cuffs to cuff him up, and don't take anything else, or he gets super offended by it. And I noticed he was offended at one time when he was like, "You took all my stuff, big mistake." But I didn't read into it enough.
Oh, so how did you? So this is something I didn't realize until I accidentally found a walkthrough, and I was like, oh, I guess there's more than one way to incapacitate him. What was the way that you did to like torture him to get you to speak? Because I always just used a knife.
Oh, you used a knife? I didn't know you could do that. I didn't even think.
Yeah, I used the knife on him, but apparently you can shoot his leg.
I shoot his leg. I shoot his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's great. I didn't even know you could do that. I was wondering what the revolver was for. I had no idea.
Well, that was my first instinct. That was my first loop going through it. It was just murder this dude, because I'm like, I don't know what's my goal here. I don't know, but
yeah, there's a guy's breaking into my house. I feel like I have the right to shoot him.
Then I shoot him. My wife shrugged on the bed, and then the day just plays out, and he's like,
snap, snap, killed my whole family.
No, I mean the wife was alive.
Oh,
she was on the bed, and you killed her.
I have a feeling that like you drugging her with a bunch of sleeping pills can't be good for the little baby. No. So
I'm surprised killing the baby wasn't an option.
Yeah. Yeah, like a friggin'
pregnant belly.
Like what the first ending, like the original ending of Butterfly Effect or whatever, where he goes back in time to when he's a fetus and like strangles himself in the womb.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the that was like the original ending to Butterfly Effect, but I don't think it tested well.
But it's like,
or something.
Yeah, the twist goes bizarre, but I guess it is effective, and then it lulls you into the cutesy stuff. Like you're doing the dinner, and then it's like, oh, you're pregnant. That's beautiful. And then at the end, it's like, oh, you're pregnant.
It's a dark twist. I really liked it. I thought I think some people. So that one review where it was like the writing was garbage and the twist was so like, but I was like, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Some of it was a little weird. The voice acting did get a little over the top for me sometimes.
Yeah.
And also the way that she referred to she was like the bastard. I'm like, damn, I've never heard anyone actually refer to someone like that. The bastard, as if it's like Game of Thrones, the bastard child. The bastard ruined everything.
Well, then she called him a monster. Monster. Yeah. And I was like, oh, is this like going to be monster? Like,
he's like, oh, I remembered I was the monster. I forgot. He just forgot a little bit.
Well, he forgot because it was the whole thing was a weird illusion, a dream or of some sort.
Like he had suppressed it, but.
Yeah. But no, he willingly knocked up his sister, apparently. So cool. Cool beans. That's weird, man. That's weird.
Weird. It's just a little weird.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind like more games in this style. Like the top-down style is pretty cool too. You don't see many games like that.
Yeah,
It's
for
an
sure.
interesting perspective. Just some of the things didn't work quite as much as I'd like them to, but
Yeah, I felt like, again, sort of the like sort of the repeated stuff towards the end of the game. That is kind of where it sort of got like like a little bit more of a slog. But I felt like the rest of the game kind of, I don't know. I thought I enjoyed it enough. It was frustrating, but
yeah,
I'm glad that I played it. Like,
same.
I enjoyed my time enough with it to be like, I'm glad I played that game. I really, because I had, for the most part, I was engrossed in the story, twists and turns. I like mysteries. It maybe got a little too weird at the end, but I kind of like weird. So
what score would you give it out of 10?
this might be really weird because, so I feel like 75% of the way through the game, I probably would see it like an 8 or an 8.5. With the weird bugs that sometimes would happen, or the weird things that over frustrating, I feel like I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10. That's not to say that it's a bad game by any means, because I think it's worth it to play it, but it's not a game that I want to go and get the achievements just so I can get that 1,000 out of the way, but then I'm probably never going to play it again. So
yeah, I would also give it a 7 actually. Yeah, I really like what they were going for here, but I do feel like someone could take this same model and make a much better game out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, this game was like 6 years in development. That's how long, like, fine tuning all of the dialogue and all of the options and how everything works. Well, it's a small team, small team working on a game like this. Small people, short people, got no reason.
Yeah, so Tarqaron scored a 7 out of 10. Yeah, it's one of those things, like I gave Cursed Mountain a 7, and just like I did enjoy Cursed Mountain, but just overall, like when it got down to like the actual gameplay side of things, it leaves a little bit to be desired. Stuff that could have been figured out a little bit better, but overall, it was definitely worth the experience.
Yeah, definitely worth the experience, I think. Getting swept along into this weird, wonderful, interesting little world.
But this is one of the rare instances in which I would say that you almost don't need. I would say you don't need to play the game. You could watch a playthrough and you get just as much out of it.
I feel like you may. Yeah, I feel like that's certainly a possibility. If you're the type of person that enjoys, a streamer or whatever, you could probably get away with just doing that. If you really like artsy fartsy stuff, like really like it, shell out the $25. You'd probably get a kick out of it. If you just want to on the fence, or if you're like, $25 seems a bit much. If you have Game Pass, just play it. I felt like I was rewarded for my time for the experience of playing it. So, yeah.
I'd love some more. Like I always love interactive, like story driven things like this. I'm always into that. So I'd love more stuff like it for sure.
Yeah.
What video would you recommend our viewers watch after this one?
Speaking of Cursed Mountain, go check out a review of Cursed Mountain. It's a fun video.
Which, if you know about this game, you don't necessarily know about that game. It's a game on the Wii.
Yeah.
Almost like a thriller.
Horror. It's a horror game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared.
No, but it's like, as Pete Dorr would say, it's horror adjacent.
You do have to balance your chakra and open your mind.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to do the spinny, the epic spinny stuff. You have to chant while doing so. No, you have to om while centering yourself.
All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to our podcast feed. Like the video. Hit the notification bell. Follow us. Leave a comment. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And like us on Facebook. Tarqaron, TWO.
You played 12 minutes. Let us know what you think about it.
Yes.